Hello everyone, I am Rushari Neve, Assistant Professor at Pharmacology Department at Kukunanpet Ranganathan College of Pharmacy and Research Institute, Kazar. So today we are going to discuss about the hematinics. So let's start with introduction. So hematinics are the substances which are required in formation of blood and are used for the treatment of anemia. So whatever the diseases that oriented from the some deficiency in the blood component that we are going to treat by the hematinics. So anemia occurs when balance occurred between the production as well as destruction of the RBC, which disturbed by the blood loss, which may be acute or chronic, then impaired red cell formation due to deficiency of essential factors like iron deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency or folic acid deficiency. And third, the bone marrow depression like hypoplastic anemia and erythropoietin deficiency. And last one is increase in destruction of the RBC, that is called the hemolytic anemia. So here the types of the anemia are given. In the first, normocytic normochronic anemia, which involve acute blood loss. Second one is the microcytic hypochromic anemia, which involve iron deficiency anemia and thalassemia. Third one is the microcytic anemia, which involve vitamin B12 deficiency and folic acid deficiency. Then next is the pernicious anemia that involve vitamin B12 deficiency. Next is hemolytic anemia, which involves destruction of the RBC. Then sickle cell anemia that involves sickle shaped RBC, and last one is the aplastic anemia that involves bone marrow disorders. So iron, which is one of the important content of the body, which mainly involved in the synthesis of the hemoglobin, cytochrome and some other components of the respiratory enzyme. So its chief functions are in transport of oxygen to tissue and in cellular oxidation of mechanism. So depletion of iron store that may result in the iron deficiency anemia. That iron is used to build up blood in anemia. So total body iron in adult, that is 2.5 to 5 gram, and it is more in men near about 50 mg per kg, and in women it is near about 38 mg per kg. So it is distributed into hemoglobin, which require near about 66% of iron. Second one is the iron store as a ferritin and hemosiderin, which require 25% of iron. Then third one is myoglobulin, which require near about 3% iron, and fourth one is the parenchymal iron, that is 6% iron is required. So daily requirement for male it is 0.5 to 1 mg, for female it is near about 1 to 12 mg, for infant it is 60 microgram per kg, for children it is 25 microgram per kg, and during pregnancy it is 3 to 5 mg. So dietary sources of ions are, it is rich sources are liver, eggs, yolk, oyster, dry beans, dry fruits, wheat germs, and yeast. And medium sources of ions are meat, chicken, fish, spinach, banana, and apple. And core sources are milk and its product and some root vegetables. So hemoglobin is a protoporphyrin, each molecule having 4 ions containing heme residue. So whenever the 4 ion residue get combined with the globulin, 4 globulin, at that time we can get the 1 hemoglobin molecule, and that's why it is very important the ion should be provided in the sufficient amount while synthesis will be occurred of the hemoglobin. So it has 0.33% iron and thus loss of 100 ml of the blood, that means it will lose 50 mg element of iron. So ions is found in two form. First one is the heme ion and second one is the non-heme ion. So heme ion which can obtain from meat and myoglobin, and non-heme ion we can obtain from cereals, fruits and legumes. So vitamin C can increase the absorption of non-heme ion. So if you are taking this vitamin C along with the non-heme ion containing sources like cereals, fruit, legumes, so it will help to absorb more iron from this non-heme containing iron. So iron basically absorbed by two mechanisms, by first active transport of ferrous ion, and second one is the absorption of iron complex with heme. So here we can observe one diagram in which the absorption of the iron takes place. Okay, so from the dietary iron, it will converted into Fe3. From Fe3, it converted to Fe2. So once it will converted to Fe2, it will going to enter into the mucosal cell. In mucosal cell, again that Fe2 going to convert it to Fe3, and from Fe3 they will form the ferritin. Then this Fe2 going to enter into the plasma. In the plasma, again this Fe2 converted to the Fe3, and once it will going to convert into the Fe3, they will going to bind to the receptors, that is TF receptors. So here you can observe a reddish crown shape receptors, that is TF receptors. On the surface of this TF receptors, this Fe3 will going to bind. So once the complex will form of this Fe3 and this TF receptors, that will reaches or transfer to the erythrocytic precursor cycle. So in this cycle, that Fe3 separate out from the receptor, and the receptors will be expelled out from this erythrocycle cycle. So here again that Fe3 converted to Fe2, and the Fe2 molecule used in the synthesis of the hemoglobin. Means like this Fe2, 4 molecules of Fe2 will required in synthesis of hemoglobin. So this is how this iron going to absorb in the body. So the iron basically transport to the hemoglobin, and they carries the oxygenated blood from lung to different body parts, so which is one of the important role of the iron. It also acts as a catalyst for many metabolic reactions, which is essential for the cell growth. It maintains healthy environment of the immunity system, which aids energy production. It transported inside mucosal cell by DMT1 receptor and across basolateral membrane by FP1 transporter protein. So I am going to release into plasma, binds to transferrin and transported to the different kind of cell. So indications in which these ions are required. First one is dietary iron deficiency during pregnancy, during premature babies, malabsorption, hemodialysis and anemia. So these are the some indications in which the iron required in more amount. So oral iron, that preferred route for the oral administration. So ferrous sulfate will be available as given by the oral route, then ferrous gluconate, ferrous fumarate. So these are the form of these iron which can be given by oral route. Then if you are giving by parenteral route, so the forms that require, that is iron dextran, iron sucrose. So if you are preferring the parenteral route, so why the parenteral route preferred over the oral route? Because iron therapy by injection indicated when oral iron is not tolerated, whenever the person suffering from bowel upset, if there will be failure to absorb whatever the iron given by the oral route, and a patient suffering from inflammatory bowel diseases, if there will be non-compliance along with this oral iron in presence of several deficiency, the person who already suffering from the chronic bleeding, then in such situation we have to prefer the iron, that is parenteral route of the iron. So the acute iron poisoning will occur. Sometimes it occurred in the infants or children's. So basically 10 to 20 iron tablets or equivalent of liquid preparation, that is more than 60 mg per kg iron, that may causes the serious toxicity in them. So manifestations of this acute iron poisoning is vomiting, abdominal pain, hemostasis, diarrhea, lethargy, cyanosis, dehydration, acidosis, convulsions, finally shock and some cardiovascular collapse, and at last the person may suffering from the death. So the treatment to cure this acute iron poisoning, first is we have to induce vomiting or perform the gastric lavage by using the sodium bicarbonate solution. In this way, we can expel whatever the extra quantity is available in the body. Secondly, we can give egg yolk with the milk orally, so it will form complex along with the iron. So whatever the large quantity of iron will be present in the body, that will be binds to this complex. So this, it will bind and remove iron which already absorbed. So desferrixamine, that is preferably used as a chelating agent which going to binds to the iron. Then next is the vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, that is cobalamin, anti-pernicious anemia factors. So this vitamin B12 called as a cobalamin, which occurred as a red crystal and synthesized in the nature only by microorganisms, plants and animal which acquire it from them. So mechanism of action of this vitamin B12, it essential, one of the essential component of the human diet, being necessary for DNA synthesis and consequently for the cell proliferation. So the main basic function, or we can say that important function of this vitamin B12 is DNA synthesis, and second one is the cell proliferation. So this vitamin B12 important in normal functioning of nervous system due to its role in the synthesis of myelin. Now see, along with this DNA synthesis and cell proliferation, the vitamin B12 is also required for the CNS. In the CNS, they are going to synthesize the myelin sheet of the neuron, and in maturation of developing of the RBC in bone marrow. So these are the some important function of the vitamin B12. So we can obtain this vitamin B12 from liver, kidney, sea fish, egg yolk, meat, cheese and legumes. So daily requirement of this vitamin B12 is near about 1 to 3 microgram. In pregnancy and lactation, it is near about 3 to 5 microgram. This vitamin B12 having bigger family, it's having related compounds which contain cobalt atom, and that's why these called as the cobalamines. So two dietary forms of this vitamin B12 are, that is methylcobalamin and 5-deoxyadenosine cobalamin. So synthetic form of this vitamin B12 is called as a hydroxycobalamin and cyanocobalamin. So this vitamin B12 is required for conversion of methyl FH4 to active formyl FH4, which is act as a cofactor during synthesis of purine and pyrimidine. As I told, vitamin B12 is mainly involved in DNA synthesis. In DNA synthesis process, they mainly use to synthesize the formyl FH4, which mainly required for the synthesis of purine and pyrimidine basis of the DNA. So isomerization of this methyl malonyl coenzyme A to succinyl coenzyme A also require the vitamin B12. Then methylcobalamin, it is active coenzyme form of the vitamin B12 for the synthesis of methionine and S-adenosyl methionine, which is need for the integrity of myelin which is one of the part of neuron. So this preparation of vitamin B12 in dose of 1.5 mg per day, that has been specially promoted for correcting the neurological defects in the diabetic, alcoholic and some other form of the peripheral neuropathy. So the conditions in which the vitamin B12 required in major amount, that is megaloblastic anemia, neurological syndrome which mainly associated with cobalamin deficiency, then pernicious anemia and treatment of vitamin B12 deficiency. The next hematinic is the vitamin B9. So this vitamin B9 commonly called as a folic acid. So folic acid occurs as a yellow crystals which are insoluble in water, but its sodium salt is freely soluble in water. So chemically it called as a pteroyl glutamic acid, which consisting of pyridine plus para-aminobenzoic acid and glutamic acid. So these are the main precursors from which we can synthesize the folic acid. So mechanism of action for the folic acid is The folic acid mainly act as a precursor to make, repair and methylate the DNA. So what is the important role of folic acid? They mainly required to repair, methylate the DNA. So as a cofactor, this folic acid required in cell division and cell growth like in infancy as well as during pregnancy. So folate is itself is an inactive form, but after absorption, the folate going to convert into active coenzyme, that is tetrahydrofolic acid, which is essential for amino acid and DNA biosynthesis as well as cell division. So here you can observe flow chart that folic acid which decreases homocysteine, they require some endothelial function, and along with that they are going to decrease maternal endothelial injury, and thereby they will result in the preeclampsia. Then along with that they increases placental implantation as well as development. So as I told, they mainly required in DNA synthesis, that is repairing of the DNA, as well as they are required in the growth of the cells mainly in during the infancy as well as during the pregnancy. So folate deficiency mainly occurred because of inadequate dietary intake, some malabsorption conditions which specially involve in upper intestine, then in biliary fistula, chronic alcoholism, increased demand like in pregnancy or during lactation, folic acid is required in large amount. Then some drug induce that which going to prolong the therapy of with anticonvulsants like phenytoin, or some oral contraceptives which going to interfere with the absorption and storage of the folate. The manifestations of the deficiency are megaloblastic anemia, epithelial damage and neuronal tube defects. The sources from which we can get the folic acid is yeast, liver, green vegetables, fruits, nuts and cereals. The daily requirement of the folic acid in adult is near about 50 mcg per day. For pregnant women, it is higher, that is 100 to 200 mcg per day. In lactating women, it is near about 100 to 200 mcg per day. The dose, that is therapeutic, 2 to 5 mg per day, and for prophylactic it is near about 0.5 mg per day. The indications, or you can say that the conditions in which the folic acid is required in large amount, that is to treat megaloblastic anemia due to folate deficiency during pregnancy, premature infants, patients with hemolytic anemia, methotrexate toxicity, citroram, factor risks, enhance anti-cancer efficiency of 5-fluorouracil, and with anticonvulsant drugs. And the last one is the erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is one of the glycoprotein which normally made by kidney, and that going to regulate RBC proliferation and differentiation in the bone marrow. So this erythropoietin also going to stimulate proliferation of colony forming cells. It induces hemoglobin formation as well as erythroblast maturation. They release reticulocytes in circulation, and the indications in which it required, that is anemic condition and the person who suffering from the chronic renal failure, then anemia, cancer chemotherapy induced anemia, then pre-operative increased blood production for autologous transfusion during surgery. So these are the conditions in which erythropoietin required in large amount. Then adverse events of the erythropoietin, they increase clot formation in aviation, then hypertensive episodes, serious thromboembolic events, occasionally seizures and flu-like symptoms may be observed. So here you can observe one cycle how erythropoietin going to use during the bone marrow during the maturation of RBC. Okay, so it will going to synthesize in the kidney. Once it will going to synthesize, it will release from the kidney and it will use in the bone marrow as well as the maturation of RBC. So here we have completed the hemodynamics.